today I have another special guest. He would be, I think, our first student in residence in New Zealand Chiropractic College. I did interview Dr. Carrie Ann McDowell, but she's now a doctor and she was just out of school. But Daniel would be our freshest member of the profession. And he comes from a chiropractic family. I'll tell you a bit about that. His mother and father, both wonderful, wonderful chiropractors. And I'd like to welcome to the show today, Daniel Villani. Daniel, how's it going?
Very good, very good. Thank you, Dr. Joe. Thank you. Appreciate you having me on this podcast today. Appreciate it.
Well, you're a unique and extraordinary beast because not many people can call mum DC and dad DC. So what year are you in?
I'm in my first year of chiropractic school. So I'm at the New Zealand College of Chiropractic right now in our first year. I just completed our prerequisite sciences last year. So kicking into it now, 2 years in of the 5-year degree and can't wait to get through it.
What's been the biggest challenge getting to begin studies?
Getting to begin studies.
Or has it all flowed fairly easily or what?
I think this is kind of the first time that I've come into studying where it's definitely something that you're passionate about. It's not something like high school where you've been subjected to do a specific science or a specific English. It's everything that we're doing now it has a clear goal. We can see where I'm moving towards. All the sciences that I'm doing right now, I can see where the application is going down the road. And yeah, I think it does flow quite well going into the college. It's really flowed well going through. And there hasn't been too many things that I've questioned its validity or even application. So
it's interesting because someone with your background and experience could go into a course and say, I know this is not right or it doesn't gel with me, but everything is really smoothly gelling, is it?
Everything's gelling, but I do know obviously
having something that gets you back up.
Yeah. There is the two main factors of both my parents being chiropractors and knowing that the chiropractic they teach in schools is definitely a lot different to the chiropractic in the clinic and real world. So I guess I do take back that statement to a small degree in that I can see that some of the technique and procedures that we do in the college, like I know that in the real world, chiropractic visits aren't usually an hour and a half long, and they can take a lot short. There's not a lot of procedures that they're going to use, but yeah, often watching my father, I'm definitely
but the main thing is you can wear it for now, and you see the goal ahead. Yeah. And what's your favorite area of the multi-layered studies of chiropractic?
I'd definitely say I'm sticking to the philosophy a lot. I really gelled with the philosophy recently. Been working my way through the books as a bit of extracurricular as well as class. I'm definitely listening to all the greats, listening to your podcast. I make sure I get some videos on driving to school, some podcasts. But yeah, listening to all the greats as I'm going through and kind of getting every bit of chiropractic philosophy that I can. Yeah.
I was kind of the same, but I was like 30 years old when I began, and I used to sacrifice, getting straight A's. Not that I could even do it, but I used to say, well, I'll pass, and then I can do extracurricular stuff. So, what's your favorite extra? I mean, I know my podcast is your favorite, but what else do you look at? Like books that aren't on the reading list?
Yeah, I do. Obviously, enjoy some Reggie. Always enjoyed Reggie. He's great to listen to.
Reggie Strauss, Gold, that is, for the uninitiated.
Reggie Gold, the legend, articulate man. Yeah. Definitely Strauss. I think Barge. I've quite enjoyed Barge as well. Doctor, or Making the Message Simple by Reggie. Any of those. Even Virgil Strang. There's a lot of good books that I've quite enjoyed. I'd say for that. Yeah, I'd say for the extracurricular kind of stuff, the philosophy books, especially even joining in school events, like we've been doing a lot of like Talk the Tick, which is our 5-minute lay lecture for chiropractic. And we just recently had the great debate of chiropractic philosophy. So between the first years and the third years that we had recently, and I participated now, which was really fun to do. Kind of get that deeper knowledge and test yourself. Yeah.
So did you consider any other colleges, or did you follow a combination of your instinct and parents, or did your parents push you where they thought you should go? This may incriminate you, this answer.
We definitely had they planted the seed of NZCC a long time ago when they helped it out in the financial aspect early on in its days. So that seed was always kind of being sown a little bit. We were quite interested to weigh up ACC, the Australian Chiropractic College that recently came up, because if I went there, I would have been of the graduating class. I would have been the first graduating class to go through that. So it would have been interesting, but obviously Parker was also another one on the books from both parents that they went there. But as the state of the US right now, everything's uncertain, to say the least. Yeah. So
yeah. And what do you think? So have you completed first year, did you say? Or
I've completed the first year of prerequisite sciences, and now I'm in the first year of the chiropractic college. So we have a separate university to do our
gotcha.
undergrad.
And what was it like? You don't know any different, I guess. But was there some sort of feeling of growing up with two chiropractors in the house? It must be extraordinary. I mean, I didn't even know what it was till I was 18. How did it feel growing up in a chiropractic indoctrinated prison cell?
It's very good question. A very good question. I think growing up and they didn't impose many chiropractic things on me. They never forced me to get adjusted. They never restricted what I did. But I think that through osmosis, I kind of learnt chiropractic philosophy and principles through that, just by being surrounded by two chiropractors, and even living in a home clinic with the practice right underneath me. I slept 10 feet above a chiropractic practice. So I think through that, it's just, I definitely got indoctrinated in it. I mean, plenty of times growing up, I was wondering why I never took Panadol. I've never taken Panadol in my life. A lot of things I definitely haven't done. Gone to the beach plenty and wondered why all my friends got so sick after we all hung out, but I was the only one who wasn't getting sick, and I couldn't understand the immune system. And I think there's a lot of things that I was almost, I wouldn't say taking for granted, but even ignorant too, but I just didn't even take it into the scope of practice until I got to school. And then I realized, wow, these are actually a lot of the things I did without even inherently knowing. So that was
did you have any, you must have had some other thoughts of careers?
I did think of investment banking. I did think of investment banking. I did ask my dad a long time ago, I said, what's going to make me the most money? And he said, well, you can work as an investment banker. You can work 360 days a year and 20-hour days and make great money. But we do very well for ourselves. And I saw that they enjoyed what they did. And I saw the hours that they were working. Obviously, they're putting in hours when they were younger. But when they got to this point when I was around 18 and they're 20 years in practice, working kind of hours they want, making good money and serving a community, I couldn't think of anything better. So that was definitely the certification for me.
Yeah. And what's the feeling? Do you roughly know how many students are in the school?
So we take in 75 a year. And there's probably about 300 applicants per year, and we take in that 75. So the year I completed last year was our prerequisite year, and that's when they weeded out everyone and got them in. But now we are in the school, we do have more weeding out, and that's what kind of first year jump up is, because most university courses are around 5 subjects or 4 subjects, and our first year in this chiropractic college is 9, and obviously a completely different level of difficulty to any other. So we're still weeding out some people, but guys, the strong survive, kind of going through. So graduating, not going to graduate anyone that isn't worthy of the doctor title.
Are there many foreign students, if any?
We have.
Well, I guess you're classified as foreign, right?
I am a foreign student, just across the sea. We have a couple Canadians. Canadians are quite common.
Yeah.
for the school. This year, we only have about 2 or 3 Canadians, 1 Norwegian, which I actually live with.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I think there's only like a couple from China. I think there's maybe like 4 or 5, but predominantly Kiwis in this class. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So what haven't, you've got the firm tradition of Jeremy and Helen. What ground do you think you'll break? Do you think you're just going to be a clone, or a mum, dad? Do you think you're going to break ground, or you just love carry on the torch, which is great?
I've had the goals written out for a while now, and I definitely like to say I'd like to be a chiropractor like my parents, but I also feel that coming from such a privileged background in chiropractic, having all this knowledge, I feel it also almost be a disservice to myself to not break through a new barrier. And that's why I'm planning on doing many big things beyond number of practices and visits of patients weekly. And I'm looking to definitely make a huge impact in Australia, New Zealand, and chiropractic going forward, and help my mum and dad. Even they're going to help me through the next journey, but even join the Villani chiropractic family and keep that going. So that's the end goal, get the syndicate together.
Yeah. And so as life goes on at the school, do you ever envisage yourself teaching, or do you seem like you're more fascinated by the expansion of business? And am I right there?
Yeah, you probably are. I am a bit of my father's son. I'm quite intrigued by the business side of chiropractic as well. I think maybe down the road when I'm ready to teach, and I need to have a lot more years underneath my belt before I'd even consider about endowing knowledge upon anyone. I think I'd have to be out 15, 20 years before I even considered about stepping down from my practices and going into a teaching role. But I think through majority of getting through school, I'm going to be itching to just practice. So I think that'd be the main thing.
Get your hands on hot bodies. And so how do you, does being from your background make you a little bit of a standout in your peer group? Does it not come up, or does it come up, or they're not interested, or is it a thing?
I think it definitely, I know there are a few chiropractic babies in the school.
You wouldn't be the only one, right?
Yeah, I definitely think there are some. I had people tell me there are some given advantages, or that I am lucky to come from a background of 2 chiropractors, especially. I mean, two DC parents is quite a rarity. Definitely to have 1 chiropractic parent's already enough, but then.
Well, it used to be common, but nowadays it's rare. It used to be very common. I know histories of quite a few chiropractic couples, but I don't think I know many now. Mum and dad are good friends of mine, and what other thoughts are on your mind in this journey?
I think even along the lines of that question is just that there are definitely some people that do tell me that I have it quite good coming from a background that is stable, and I can go straight from school to practice with my parents. I know that's an obvious advantage going forward. But yeah, I think even just knowing what's the light at the end of the tunnel, because some people even in the school, and a lot of students wouldn't even really understand of what chiropractic could offer them. And I've seen firsthand what it can offer to someone as a life choice and career. So I think anything along those lines of my experience just offers a great advantage that I'm definitely got to take advantage of, because I know if I wasn't in these shoes, I'd make sure that the other person in those shoes would take advantage of it. Yeah.
So what are the things fortify your direction? What other hobbies or things do you think totally outside of chiropractic enhance your chiropractic brand? I know it's early days, but you've got some pretty good thoughts on direction. So is there anything that you do that enhances your career as a chiropractor?
I think I've obviously been quite obviously quite enthralled with the fitness scene. I've always looked after
Yeah, that's what
myself.
I'm sort of hinting on, because
Yeah.
you're very physically conscious. I know that. So tell us more
Yeah,
about that.
I used to compete in judo from when I was about 6 till I was about 18. And that was my kind of
Oh,
first
that's
sport.
right. Yes, yes,
That was
judo.
the first
Yeah.
sport, yeah, that I did. I took that quite big, going kind of international tours, competing in the Youth Commonwealth Games, Youth Olympic trials, competing, traveling all around the world, training everywhere and anywhere. And I think
That's right.
that
I remember
whole,
when you were a young strapper, mum and dad used to float you everywhere.
it's true, put a lot of money into me, sending me around the world. But I think that side of just the competitiveness of being, especially in a solo sport where I'm completely reliant on myself and I've got to look after what I'm eating, how I'm training, I got to manage school, my final year 12 studies at Australia. While doing all that, I definitely think that being health conscious while managing jobs and school, it gave me a good perspective for going forward,
And I
especially
think the word is discipline too.
disciplines. Yeah. I think discipline was a big thing of, like most martial arts and people in the military, they have a great discipline that definitely helps them have a regime and strict schedule they usually follow too. And I think that's been a great success for me going through university, even just having 2 jobs. I know dad forced me to get 2 jobs in my final year of high school, especially pick one up extra when I'm going into final exams, because he said university is going to be a breeze if you can do this and just make through it. So I'm glad he was hard on me and that stuff, but I think the discipline of
How old are you now?
I'm nearly 20, so I'm 19 right now.
19, 20. And I think you've touched on something really important, that the word discipline is tarnished by punishment. It is nothing to do with punishment. Discipline means, you're a disciple unto yourself, I think. You know, discipline comes from the word disciple. You are following your course and its order and the ability to, divvy out all these things that you're doing and put them into a system. So being disciplined is merely allowing yourself the freedom too, because then you can do certain things if you're disciplined about it. So I think learning that is going to be one of the things I think that's lacking from a lot of people your age, I think.
Yeah.
And
well put.
It doesn't matter what age you are, you can still lack discipline. But to learn it at such a young age, I think your mum and dad knew what they were doing.
There was definitely a master plan to all the sports and teachings. I think there was definitely some Mr. Miyagi kind of secret teachings in there that I didn't realize until later. But I think well put with the discipline. I think even being disciplined, definitely there's no negative ramifications of it. I think that there's definitely a self-gratitude of knowing that you've done yourself a service by being disciplined and keeping yourself stress-free from things to a degree.
Yep.
With that, but I think, definitely discipline is something that a lot of people often lack in self-control, especially in a day where staring at a screen offers so many different distractions. Being able to kind of block that out and continue forward with anything is, I think, extremely valuable skill, especially going to a profession of ours.
Well, that's great, Daniel. What I'd like to do is maybe check back with you at various intervals of your studies, and we'll map. Here's a new section to Dr. Joe's podcast. We'll map out the career of one of our younglings, and we'll see how you're doing. And because you don't do any technique yet, do you?
We have actually been doing some technique, but not adjusting yet. We've been doing mainly like palpation.
That's fantastic, because that is the first technique. First technique is these things. It doesn't matter if you're an instrument adjuster or whatever. So
and communication, of course.
Technique. Yeah, and are there any teachers there that really suck? No, just kidding. Don't go there. Don't go there. My experience with New Zealand College has always been wonderful. Sadly, Graham, I can't remember his last name. Graham Dobson. Yeah, thank you. Good man. Graham Dobson, I think, retired, didn't he?
Yeah. He wrote a lot about upper cervical kind of techniques and manuals.
He did, and he's well versed in that, and a wonderful man. And Brian Kelly, I visited when he was president, and Eric Russell was president another time. They had an upper cervical symposium there once that was fantastic. We had all the Blair guys from US and whatever technique, they were all there. And so the school has traditionally been very encouraging to welcoming people in. And as you know, I interviewed Phil McMaster today. So I got, a veteran and I got a newbie today. So it is a great school. And I hope I can get back there at some point too. And Dad was doing some tuition there, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was doing some mentoring for the fourth years in the outpatient clinic. So he was doing that. It's quite enjoying, kind of giving back to the profession once again. So that was his
And look, I wish all the schools well. I hope the Australian school does well. I know I got people, some of my best friends are Macquarie grads and, New Zealand. And I think that they all have a little bit of different flavour. But, let's hope that they remain chirocentric, as Virgil Strang used to say. So in closing, I want to ask you, Daniel, you're meeting a stranger or someone, whoever, and you want to explain chirocentric, like what are the tenets that you would say? Yeah, obviously we've got examination procedures that are medical and we share those, blood pressure, whatever. What are the things that you think a chiropractic school should not lose? There you go. There's a question for you. And they have to teach, it's like no negotiation on that. Obviously, palpation, go on from there.
Yeah, palpation, obviously, I think definitely a diverse set of techniques. I definitely say that's important, especially because we do teach upper cervical, Gonstead, diversified, and Thompson, some NSA stuff as well. I think X-ray is another one that we cannot lose. I think that's part of our professional identity. Other than that, I'd say the technique, communication courses as well. I think the more public talks we're doing, the more community service events that the school hosts. I think that's insanely important to getting that chiropractic talk down, because if you really can't explain chiropractic in under 30 seconds to a lay person, then it's such a valuable skill to have.
You better watch what you say, mate. Give me chiropractic in 30 seconds now.
All right.
Take a breath. Come on.
You want it? All right. All right. Chiropractic is the only profession that offers a drug-free, surgery-free option that cares for your spine, but more importantly, your nervous system. So your nervous system is the only reason you could walk, talk, eat, sleep, lift, or function. And with a nervous system and body system this important, necessary to life, you'd want it working properly, right? So as chiropractors, we are solely concerned with removing any interference to your nervous system, known as vertebral subluxations. These subluxations are basically just out-of-place vertebrae that interfere with your body's ability to adapt, repair, and heal. And that's it.
Hey, man. You know what? All the podcasts I've done and so many wonderful people, that's the best 30 seconds of the lot.
I'll take that.
I'm going to say good night and good day, and we will catch you. I think we'll catch you sooner than later, and we'll catch up and see how you're doing, Daniel. Thanks a lot for talking to me today.